Week 2 of the 2024 college football season is wrapped up, and so today I'll be giving you guys our Week 3 college football rankings. Week 2, an insane week of action. We'll be recapping it here today and ranking the top 25. So with that, let's get started with 1 through 7. Georgia number 1 this week once again. They took care of Tennessee Tech 48-3. So Georgia at this point 2-0, blew out Clemson in week 1. That's the main reason I still have the Bulldogs at number 1, but you have a strong argument if you want to put Texas at number 1 this week. They beat Michigan 31-12, went on the road to a brutal place to play and took care of the Wolverines no problem. Michigan is a much different team this year. Their offense really is struggling right now. I mean, the quarterback situation is a big issue. Their defense, though, still has some strong talent on there. So for Texas to go in there, dominate like they did, the Longhorns are for real this season. I wouldn't be surprised if they won it all. Same with Ohio State, though, too. I mean, Ohio State really hasn't played anybody yet, but took care of Western Michigan 56-0. I mean, just because Texas has a signature win already, that's the only reason I have them at number 2 over Ohio State, who I think is a legit national contender as well. So between 1 and 3, Georgia, Texas, Ohio State, I would say the 3 best teams in the country. The 3 true national contenders as of right now. But if you look behind them, Ole Miss number 4 beat Middle Tennessee 52-3. You could make an argument Ole Miss has the best offense in the country this season. It's just about the defense for them in determining how far they go. They really haven't played anybody yet, so we'll find out soon whether or not this team is a true national contender. But at this point, I honestly think so. They should be a top 4 team. Alabama's number 5. They had a really slow start there against South Florida. They struggled with them last season, obviously. I feel like many remember that, and it was kind of the same story there early on against South Florida this year too, but they pulled away later on, got the win 42-16. I do think Alabama is one of those dark horse teams that kind of was written off in the offseason, but they are still a very strong team. And then there's Tennessee at 6. This might surprise some, but I think I said it this offseason, Tennessee is a true dark horse contender. And so far this season, they have not disappointed. I mean, they beat Chattanooga 69-3. Obviously, Chattanooga is not much, but then they took on NC State, a ranked team, beat them 51-10. NC State is, I would say, a top team in the ACC this season, but so far this year, it's not looking like it for them. But I mean, that's a talented NC State team that Tennessee beat 51-10 there. I've got them at number 6, which is going to be higher than what most are going to have them at this week, but I think Tennessee is a legit team to really keep an eye on this season. We'll see if it's going to be a similar season like what we saw in 2022. So far, it feels like that, but obviously a much more difficult schedule lies ahead as SEC play is right around the corner. Penn State, number 7, beat Bowling Green 34-27. This was a game that was close all the way through. Pretty scary one there for Penn State. They allowed 24 points in the first half. Their defense finally started playing in the second half, only allowed 3 points, but that was a pretty disappointing game there for Penn State, just based on the way they looked in week 1, though. I still have them number 7, not going to move them anywhere, but obviously they got to be a lot better if they're going to be a contender this season. 8 through 14, Mizzou number 8. This team has shut out 2 teams in a row now, Buffalo and then Murray State the week before, so feels like Missouri's a legit team. They really haven't played anybody yet, obviously, but so far, things are looking really good for Missouri. Then there's Oregon at number 9. Another close one, beat Boise State 37-34. I feel like the Ducks, talent-wise, are, I would say, a top 3 team in the country. Problem is, struggle with Idaho in week 1, struggle with Boise State. Boise State's a better team than Idaho for sure, but either way, kind of a slow start to the season for the Ducks. So we'll see if they can get it together. They travel to Corvallis this upcoming week. And then Miami's number 10, a really strong start for them, beat Florida A&M 56-9. It feels like the Hurricanes are going to be the best team in the ACC this season. Louisville's kind of that close second. But Miami at this point, Cam Ward in this offense, this is a really strong team all around. Keep an eye on Miami moving forward. Utah's number 11, beat Baylor 23-12, strong start, kind of went cold in the second half, but I mean, the Big 12 still feels like, I mean, the ACC and the Big 12 at this point feel like similar conferences. Big 12 is a lot more top-heavy, but, I mean, both conferences are really wide open at this point. USC number 12 beat Utah State 48-0. I mean, USC followed up what was a really impressive win in week 1 over LSU with a shutout win against Utah State. USC is a legit team. Miller Moss is a really strong quarterback. Keep an eye on the Trojans. I've got them at 12 this week. I mean, USC this year, I mean, after having Caleb Williams last year, this defense is finally showing some true upside right now. So USC could be a really strong team this year. Oklahoma State's number 13 beat Arkansas 39-31, an insane game there, and the Cowboys still really like Oklahoma State. I feel like a lot are sleeping on them a bit. I could see Oklahoma State definitely winning the Big 12 this season, especially with how well coached of a team that they are. Oklahoma at 14 beat Houston 16-12. Defensive struggle there. This offense looked good in week 1, I thought, but week 2, not so much. This team needs to be a lot better if they want to be a contender in the SEC this season. 15-21. Got LSU at 15. These next 3 teams are all one-loss teams. I feel like are kind of in similar situations. LSU, I mean, their loss against USC wasn't bad, but I still feel like LSU is a pretty talented team. So still got them in the top 15. Michigan at 16. Notre Dame at 17. First off with Michigan, obviously their offense is really a big question mark right now. I feel like their defense can be a lot better. But obviously going up against Texas, who you could argue is the best offense in the country, it's obviously going to be tough, and Michigan is a much different team this season. So at this point, got the Wolverines at number 16. Notre Dame, though, they beat Texas A&M in week 1. I thought this team overlooked really good in week 1. They went to College Station, a really nice win, but obviously didn't get ready for NIU because they lost 14-16, only put up 14 points on NIU. So at this point, this offense is really concerning to me. I feel like this team in general is just really concerning. The fact that they lost to NIU, which could be a good team this season, but obviously just a really brutal loss for Notre Dame at this point. I mean, they can be a lot better than that, though, so I still have them ranked at 17, which I would assume will be higher than where they'll be in the AP poll, but obviously a really disappointing loss there. Kansas State at 18 beat Tulane 34-27. Kind of a fun game there. K-State finds a way, 2-0 on the season. Arizona at 19. So far, Arizona has been a bit disappointing to me. They obviously looked really bad on defense in week 1. This week, it was the offense that didn't look good. They only put up 22 points on NAU. So for Arizona at this point, got a couple of questions about them. I actually ranked this team, I think, top 15 in the preseason, much higher than the AP poll. But at this point, going to be a little bit conservative on them until we see them play a bit better. Louisville at 20 beat Jacksonville State 49-14, second best team in the ACC. Louisville and Miami, the top 2 teams in the conference for sure. And so we'll see what happens moving forward. But obviously, it's tough to compare Louisville to Miami at this point, considering how early on it is. Iowa State at 21, though. They beat Iowa on the road 20-19. Wasn't looking good at first, but Cyclones really came through in the second half, and a really nice win. Iowa State's a really well-coached team. Matt Campbell's, it feels like he's doing it again with Iowa State. This could be a true contender in the Big 12 this year. They've had a couple of down seasons. They were better last season versus 2022. So the Cyclones back on the rise, back in the top 25. 22-25. Nebraska 22 beat Colorado 28 beat Colorado 20. Dominant first half there. Dominant first half is brutal. I feel like everyone's kind of overlooking this Husky defense. The offense was a big issue last season, but I feel like some forget that this defense, especially in the second half of last season, was really strong. It was just the offense that was such a big issue for them. But I feel like 20. So now with Dylan Raiola in there, an improved offense plus what is a very experienced defense, Nebraska could be a pretty strong team this season, so keep an eye on them. Clemson 23 beat App State 66.